All right, guys. So this is gonna be my reaction to the debate. No reaction at all. I think that people can take a look at the memes, take a look at the coverage on pretty much all the networks, all of the news publications. Even people, I've spoke with people this morning, late last night, that were saying I didn't even watch the debates, and I can already, based on my timeline, based on people texting and calling, that it was an absolute disaster. And that's an understatement. I think what's particularly troubling about listening to Americans react to the debate last night is the fact that so many of them are pointing the finger at Donald Trump as if somehow he is an extraneous part of our politics, that somehow he just descended from space down into the Oval Office and assumed the presidency. We elected this guy. People thought that last night the debate performance was a disgrace. I have to say, look in the mirror. Donald Trump is actually a reflection of us. He was duly elected by way of our electoral process. I think what is convenient for Americans is to point the finger at Donald Trump and relinquish any responsibility for his presence and for him being there. He is a manifestation of our complete dependence on shock value, on reality TV type programming and entertainment, our inability to educate ourselves on politics, our convenient positions of, oh, I just don't get into politics because it's too messy, which is what a lot of people have been texting and saying to me, a lot of my friends who are sort of apolitical. You caused this. We caused this. The partisanship, the inability for people to understand folks who disagree with them. Don't blame Trump. Every single one of us are to blame for what we saw last night. And the only way that we can rectify this disaster is to start taking responsibility, start taking serious our civic duty to self-govern in this country. I am so sick of Americans complaining about politicians, as if to say you don't have the power to control each and every person who sits in an elected office. Yes, it was a disgrace what we saw last night, but I think what was even more of a disgrace was the fact that Donald Trump was standing on that stage in the first place, and that blame rests at nobody else's feet but the American people's. I've had a whole list of points here, calling out all of the lies, calling out all of the policy fabrication, so on and so forth. Bullshit. What we saw last night was a 77-year-old man-child If Donald Trump was 25, I would be able to give him a pass. If he were 30, maybe I'd give him a pass. But for a 77-year-old man, your grandfather and my grandfather, standing out there on a national stage, unable to even allow his opponent to talk. It wasn't a debate strategy. It was the fact that, as Joe Biden said, he literally cannot let the other person, he can't do it. He's that immature. He's that bombastic. He's that idiotic. And that narcissistic that his personality will not even let somebody else engage in a conversation with him. I don't think this election boils down to policy. I think this election boils down to what your mama taught you, what my mama taught me about decency and about respect. And look, don't allow people out there, you know, the small dick macho men, you know, the anti-politically correct people convince you that decency and respect is no longer important, that somehow decency and respect has gone out of style. If you can't treat people with respect, if you can't so much as let somebody else talk, if you can't follow the rules, which is essentially what we saw last night from the President of the United States, the shit that we learned in first grade and kindergarten, what makes you think that you deserve to sit behind that resolute desk in the Oval Office and make decisions of life and death, war and non-war? The nuclear codes are at your fingertips. He's choosing Supreme Court justices that will alter our lives and our way of life for a century to come. And you can't even, first of all, you can't say fatality. You don't know how to pronounce Yosemite. This is a guy who can't read. It is well documented that he cannot read. He's inarticulate. And he has managed to make his way all the way to the White House. Not because of anything other than we elected him. It's about time that we start taking this process seriously. And if last night wasn't a wake-up call for people who are disengaged in this election, people who think that this election is some sort of reality TV program that's here for your entertainment, wake up. Wake up. Because I'm pretty sure that there are some countries like Germany who thought it was a game too. Like Russia, who thought it was a game too. That strong men, dictators, thugs were what made you strong on the world stage. And now look at Russia now and look at Germany then. Vote. That's all I have to say. Last night was a national disgrace. It was disgusting. I know nobody that got through the entire debate. I don't know many people that got through the first 20 minutes. What are we doing, folks? I mean, there were so many lies. There were no truths. I can't name one thing that the president said out of his mouth last night that was actually the truth. And the white supremacy comment, fuck it. We already knew that that was his stance. But these guys are not joking. These guys are ready to take to the streets the way they took to the streets in Rosewood and the way that they took to the streets in Tulsa, lynching every black man in sight. They're ready to do it again. And you can act like you're ready for it, but you're not. Let's vote. Let's put in law enforcement that's actually going to hold crooks like Donald Trump accountable. Terrorists like the Proud Boys accountable. Let's do this the reasonable way. Let's not turn this into civil unrest, which is the direction it's going in. If we don't wake up as an American people, we're all going to be looking at our children and grandchildren telling us about the free America that once was. I never thought I would even be having these conversations. I never thought that the United States would crumble and democracy within the United States would crumble this quickly. And the American people are just cavalierly looking, there should be more outrage. People who think that this style of leadership is cool, man, you go to your job and talk over top of people the way he was last night, the president. You go to your job and make decisions without consulting with the experts, without intellectual thought. We don't get to do it on our jobs. You go to your job and insult people the way the president did last night, going after Joe Biden's son, after that man lost his mother and his sister in a tragic car accident. You do that at your job and see what happens. So if you can't get away with it, why do you allow the leader of the free world, the commander-in-chief of our troops, get away with that kind of behavior? Maybe you're a joke just like him. Maybe we all are. But stop blaming Trump. He is us. We are him. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Politicians say all the time, this is not who we are. Maybe it is. Maybe Donald Trump is exactly who we are. And if you don't believe that, if you don't believe he represents you and how you were raised and how your mama taught you to conduct yourself in public, being courteous, being kind, letting people talk, stating your case, standing your ground, but letting people communicate, then you need to vote. Not only do you need to vote, but you need to call your mama. You need to call your aunties in another state, your cousins. You need to throw all of that political correctness about how we don't talk about politics because it's a touchy subject. I mean, don't lose your job or anything if that's a policy that you have to abide by in certain settings. But take every single opportunity to let people know what's at stake in this election. And what's at stake in this election is our very existence, our very civil liberty and civil freedom, democracy. And that's all I'm going to say about that debate last night.